Paul McCartney and John Lennon were not proud of every song they wrote for the Beatles. In particular, John was never afraid to criticize Paul's writing, taking aim at some of his songwriting partners' work after the band went their separate ways. John was critical of Paul's work on the Abbey Road closing medley, the 1967 album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and the single Let It Be. About Let It Be, John said in a 1980 interview, "That's Paul. What can you say? Nothing to do with the Beatles? It could have been Wings. I don't know what he's thinking when he writes Let It Be." He could also be harsh about his own work, for example saying that he wished he had never written It's Only Love. About the song, John said, "That's the one song I really hate of mine. Terrible lyrics." Paul has also criticized some of his own work, such as Little Child, which featured on the band's second album, With the Beatles. The song sees the narrator asking someone to dance with them and take a chance on them, and Paul said the lyrics, "I'm so sad and lonely," were inspired by Whistle My Love by Elton Hayes. Paul explained that Little Child wasn't his finest work, written to fill a gap on the record. Looking back at it, he said, "Little Child was a work job. Certain songs were inspirational and you just followed that. Certain other songs were, right, come on, 2 hours, song for Ringo for the album." But there was a Beatles song that both John and Paul shared their disdain for. Hold Me Tight was primarily written by Paul in 1961, but was credited to Lennon-McCartney, as all of John and Paul's songs for the Beatles were. It featured on some of their early live set lists, and the band had tried to record it during the marathon 12-hour session for their debut album, Please Please Me, on February 11, 1963. They tried 13 takes of the song, but discarded all of them and cut it from the album. Like Little Child, the track ended up on the band's second album, With the Beatles, after they recorded 9 more takes over September 11th and 12th, 1963. It certainly wasn't the easiest recording process the band ever had. Neither John or Paul liked the song at all. Looking back on it, Paul said, "I can't remember much about that one. Certain songs were just work songs. You haven't got much memory of them. That's one of them." Paul also referred to the song as a failed attempt at a single, which then became an acceptable album filler. John also distanced himself from the song in a 1980 interview, saying, "That was Paul's. It was a pretty poor song and I was never really interested in it."